Thank you for joining us today. I call the May 4th, 2023 meeting of the Native American Commission to order. We'll begin with an introduction of current commission members, starting with Seth.
Seth Holden, liaison from the Fargo School Board.
Ashley Littlewolf, Boys Fort Band of Ojibwe.
Amanda Strauss, Sisseton Wapaton.
I feel like we have a couple members on joining us by phone also.
Emily Sargent, Vice Chairwoman, member of White Earth Nation.
John Strand, City Commission Liaison.
Sharon White Bear, MHA Nation.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda and the December 1st, 2022 minutes. Can I get a motion to approve both the agenda and minutes?
All motion.
Can I get a
I'll
second?
second.
Strand second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Same
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. The next item is public comment. Speakers must state their name and will be limited to 2 minutes. Comments should not contain profanity or personal attacks. Staff, do we have anyone signed up for public comment? Oh, okay. Thank you. Next, you should have all had a chance to review the proposed bylaws that are included in the packet. There are 2 main updates proposed. The first is changing NAC meetings from monthly meetings to every other month, which we have been kind of informally doing for the past year. And the second is converting our Fargo School Board and City Commission members to be non-voting liaison members, which has been in discussion for a few years now. This would mean that voting is reserved for those of us representing the Native American community. And as liaison members, John and Seth would serve in an advisory capacity to our board and subcommittees and provide information about their representative body and vice versa, but they would not count towards a quorum. All the other changes proposed to the bylaws are mostly related to formatting and readability. Can I get a motion to approve the bylaws as proposed?
Madam Chair, this
Yes.
is Sharon.
Yes, sure.
Would I be able to make any comments first, or
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm sorry.
pertaining to that, or is there?
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering about when it comes to the non-voting members and our quorum. How do we look at that? So if we, now we don't have a quorum if they don't vote, or how would that work?
So now the quorum for, that would just still continue to be a majority of.
Yep, so you would need 4 out of 7 members present to make a quorum.
Okay, so then 4 out of 7, so not 4 out of 9 anymore?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I apologize for forgetting to ask about comments. If anybody else has any commentary or questions about the amendments to the bylaws? Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the changes to the bylaws?
I motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion is carried. And next item of business is that, so due to some changing family and work circumstances for Emily, she will not be completing her term as vice chair, which expires at the end of this year. Per the bylaws, the vice chair serves for 2 years and then transitions into the chair position But a new vice chair should be elected upon NEC members upon vacancy, which would require a special election for vice chair in July. Ideally, today, we need to decide whether to have the new vice chair still transition into the position of chair next January, or if preferred, I have indicated that I'd be willing to extend my term as chair for one more year to allow the vice chair to gain more experience and have a little bit more time in that role. Deciding this does not require a formal vote, but we can have a discussion about that today. Which should include that we would also need to form a nominating committee that would evaluate candidates for vice chair and then present a recommendation or recommendations in July. Forming the nominating committee doesn't require a formal vote either. I would like to request if Sharon and Emily might want to serve for our nominating committee, as they have, Sharon has served in the chair and vice chair positions in the past, and Emily has been serving in the vice chair position. So we'll start with hearing from Sharon and Emily their thoughts on serving as a nominating committee.
Yeah, this is Emily. Oh, you go, Sharon.
No, you're okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely would agree to being on that nominating committee to help smooth that transition in that process and figuring out who might be best fit to fill my position. So thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, this is Sharon. I would also, I'd be honored to help do that to see if we can select so that we have a full group and of working commission. I'd be willing to do that, to help with that.
Okay, thank you both so much. So I think then the next thing we would want to discuss is whether anybody on the, if anybody has an opposition or a preference to, as far as having the vice chair, who would be the newest vice chair transition into the position of chair in January, or if members feel like it would be reasonable to extend my term for a year in order to allow for that new vice chair to have more time.
Madam Chair, this is Sharon. My comment about that is I believe if we could have you stay on for a year, and the main reasons are, again, we're going to be new. The person will be new if they are new, unless someone is elected who's already been serving right now. And then also because if we're going to go for every other month, there'll be less time of them being able to kind of get acclimated to our, with the way we're doing things right now. I think that would be really beneficial if we could do it that way, and have you stay on for another year and just really help guide that person. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
I second what Sharon has to say. I think that would be a really good idea to have you stay on, Whitney, and continue on as that chair role until someone can transition in over the next year and a half.
Are there any other thoughts or comments? Okay. Again, this doesn't require a formal vote, but does it sound like perhaps there is a consensus to extend my time as the chair by another year? So that transition would be happening in January 2025 versus January 2024.
I think that sounds like a good transition plan. I agree with Sharon and Emily.
I also agree.
Okay. All right. Well, the next item on the agenda is the Indigenous Association report, and I don't see anybody from there. I can kind of try to give a little bit of a snippet on the happenings for Indigenous Association, which I would say that I probably won't be able to go into super into detail. They've been so busy doing all the things. Brandon and Tanya have been super like planning just a ton of programming. They have a lot of really exciting stuff coming up. There's been some really cool events. There really have been very consistent and kind of making that community calendar that's like up to date and on the website and on the Facebook group. Doing a lot of planning for like sustainability, and I would say that for a lot more detail, I think if people wanted to know more about Indigenous Association, they could definitely go to the website or the Facebook page. The full kind of list of events, planned events, and programming would be up on there, including that calendar, community calendar. So that's, I think, kind of all I have for that. Are there any subcommittees that want to provide a report?
Madam Chair, this is Sharon.
Yes.
But I would like to see, can we go back? I apologize too. I think that we should just make a motion and vote on for you to stay for that year, because I think that it would show better, like in the minutes and things, where in the history people will say, why did she stay on 3 years or something? And if we could just put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I think I always appreciate your insight with that, Sharon. You offer really good advice that way, so I think that would be good to do, and it definitely.
So I'd like to make that motion. I'd like to move that we have our president, Whitney Fear, stay on for one more year in light of the vice chairperson leaving. And so she can assist that person with learning, or assist her with becoming familiar with our system that we're using now.
Is there a second?
I'll
This
second.
is John Strand. I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. So that motion has carried. Thank you for that, Sharon. I think that is a really good idea for visibility too and transparency. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Were there any subcommittees that would want to share anything? I do have a couple things for my subcommittee, but if any other subcommittees wanted to go first, that would be good. Okay, well, I will mention, myself and Suzanne and John met with Kim Hedvig and Renata from the Cass County State's Attorney's Office, and regarding the epidemic of violence against Indigenous people, particularly women in our community. I do believe that relates directly to health and wellness. It really disproportionately affects our life expectancy and things like that. And those rates continue to climb, not just for Native American women, but for all women in America, actually every year. So we had a really great discussion. I'm really very thankful to Kim for making that meeting a priority with us, and we had a great discussion. And so actually tomorrow, Emily Sargent and I will be back to meet with the entirety of her staff and talk a little bit more in depth about things like trauma-informed care, and also about kind of a different kind of approaching our community, and we're doing that work to kind of bridge some of that, trust and things there. So I'm really looking forward to that, and again, very thankful to Kim and her office for making that a priority. All of that came together within like less than a month, so that's pretty great, and really very much appreciated. So I think that is going to move in a really good direction. We have some plans to meet with some other folks in some similar arenas too, and just kind of planning schedules and all that right now. So kind of what we're currently working on. Is there any staff report, anything for staff report?
Yeah, thank you. Jamie, Fargo Fire. Just really thankful to be able to address the commission today at a time when we have an open application period to become a Fargo firefighter right now. We are accepting applications for, it's a full-time career positions. Starting salary for these positions is $55,066 per year. In order to better allow people to get an understanding of what the job looks like, we are offering orientation classes, and the next class is May 16th to answer questions about what it would mean to work the 24-hour shift and have the job of firefighter. If we what we need to do to look at it is fargofire.com, and then you can go to careers and you can get into the process that way. It gives all the information there. Do you have any questions for me?
Are there any questions for Jamie?
I just want to say too, this is our first year attending the 2023 Woodland Powwow, and that was a really great event to talk to young people and let them hear about this as well. But we recognize we're going to need a lot of help for recruitment. So thank you.
Yeah, I just would want to springboard off of that and say I was really pleased to see you guys there and PD. I was very happy about that. And I was even more happy to see that your guys' booths were pretty much like always there was kids or adults there, right there. So that was really good to see, and I appreciated that. I think that kind of as has been mentioned in the past, when part of that trust building, whenever for us, I think as a community, when folks like the fire department are willing to kind of come to events that we're holding, it feels a little bit less intimidating than us kind of going to their turf or your turf. So I think that was really great to see, and I hope that that kind of continues, like with the picnic that will be happening at some point this summer and whatnot. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Sharon. I would like to make a couple comments. I was just wondering from Jamie that would we be able to link somehow to that fargofire.com, like through the Native Commission or through our website? Anything like that we could do, or through the Indigenous Peoples website, so that if people go on there, they could see that or make a notice of something on there for this?
We would welcome any help that we can get.
It's a great idea, Sharon, for sure.
We could contact the Indigenous Association and ask them to put that on their site, whatever it could be to help extra links if a person is looking besides the word of mouth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I'll email Brandon and Tanya this afternoon about that.
Thank you for coming and presenting that.
Is there anything else for staff report?
Yes. So in reference to your conversation that your board members are having with the state's attorney's office, we just wanted to make you aware that several members of the Fargo Police Department, including me, but also Assistant State's Attorney Renatus also attended recent trainings pertaining to ending violence against women that had a lot to do with education and resources and collaboration surrounding trauma-informed investigations and prosecution and all of those types of things. So we are very attentive to those needs and that information as well. And then on a side note, we're very proud that our chief just signed a proclamation for 30 by 30. If you've never heard of that, it's a proclamation to really just increase diversity and women in law enforcement to 30% by 2030. Historically, at least in law enforcement, on average, law enforcement in departments only ranges about 15 to 17%. And so there's a national movement to increase that representation. And so we are actively working to improve that data and statistics within the police department. And then we are continually hiring. We are just about to start our summer academy. But we constantly have an opening and information for recruitment and applications within the police department as well. So.
Thank you, Christy. Anything else for staff reports?
I'll just mention once again that the planning department is forming an advisory committee for the launch of its new growth plan, and this will be setting the strategy for Fargo's future land development goals and guide growth throughout the entire city. So it's a 14-month process, and there will be approximately 7 to 10 meetings or workshops beginning mid-May. They're seeking an NAC representative, and Suzanne has already reached out to express interest, but if anyone else is curious, please let me know.
Thank you. Was that all for the staff report? Okay. All right. So for announcements, I wanted to start with, and it's too bad she's not here on today, but congratulations to a member of our board, Suzanne Sensky, for being named one of the YWCA Women of the Year recently. That's really great. Sharon was also given that award a couple years ago, so I think it's really cool that we have another board member that is given that award. And then there's a couple upcoming events that I wanted to mention quickly. I did have them pulled up, so then now I feel bad that I'm having to look for them. They closed on my phone, so for some reason. Is there any other announcements though while I look for these things I was going to mention?
I can share about the event tomorrow, the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons discussion. So May 5th is National Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Awareness Day. So MSUM is hosting a panel discussion tomorrow at 4. You can catch the art unveiling and meet and greet with artist Laura Youngbird and the panelists. And then following that at 4:30, there will be a discussion, and that is located at the MSUM campus at the Great White Hall and the Gade stage.
Okay. So on Tomorrow also at 6:30 p.m. there will be a showing of the film Blood Memory with Free Fry Bread and Wojapi at Indigenous Association. And these events can be found on the Indigenous Association website, but I thought I would mention it. Next Thursday will be West Fargo Indian Ed powwow for graduates and celebrating graduates. There's one coming up for Moorhead too. Do you know when that is, Ashley?
Yeah, I think that's May 11th
Okay.
for Moorhead students.
Okay.
No, May 10th. Take that back. Got them mixed up.
Okay. Perfect. And then, hey, I think that was it for announcements. Anybody else have any announcements?
I have an announcement about the Indigenous Association as well. This is Emily. Brandon actually sent around an invitation that they'll be posting soon on their Facebook page, but they are going to be hosting a sewing circle to make Pendleton jackets for community members Saturday, May 20th and Sunday, May 21st, and it's open to the first 40 people that sign up. So I'm sure we can get permission from him to share that to our page as well.
Yeah, I think that'll be I think that's going to be a really cool event. So thank you for mentioning that one, Emily. Okay. Well, so just to kind of as a reminder for members, then our next meeting would not be until July. The exact date of that,
July 6th.
July 6th. Otherwise, if there is, I'll have a kind of last call for any other business.
Madam Chair, this is John. I have a question. With the change in the bylaws, is that already in effect for Seth and I becoming ex officio, or are there other stages of this process to unfold? Does it go to the City Commission? I'm just curious how the timing of this.
I think we can take care of all those sort of housekeeping items over the next 2 months, so you can consider it in effect for the July meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I will consider this meeting for the Fargo NEC adjourned. And thank you for coming.